Number 2, Doom 3, a game I've been wanting to play since I saw the PC trailers, but I had to wait until it came out on the original Xbox. The storyline in Doom 3 is pretty much a Martian colony opens a portal to hell. It's a military colony and they're doing experiments with ancient ruins and teleportation technology. There's a little bit of betrayal of this scientist who gets possessed. You pretty much are a space marine who gets sent there just to work, and things literally all go to hell, and you have to fight your way out. In Doom 3, the main gameplay is a pretty average first-person shooter, but instead of fighting random foot soldiers, you're fighting the well-designed, fast-moving, original-looking, very strong, and deadly minions of hell. But don't worry, you have a very large and very powerful arsenal. Pretty standard guns at first: shotgun, machine gun, pistol. Then you'll get a plasma shooter, you'll get a chainsaw, rocket launcher, and many more items of deadliness, including towards the end you'll get a mystical item which can pretty much kill any enemy in one shot once it's powered up by getting kills on demons. The scariest part about Doom 3 was you're basically a lone soldier with a handful of guns fighting off the minions of hell who can literally pop up anywhere. They get bigger, meaner, tougher, and stronger and weirder looking as you go along. There's even a part where a demon pops out of an innocent looking civilian. Whether they be small or big, they're still menacing. Not to mention the great graphics at the time and the great sound. Hearing noises constantly, environmental effects. So yeah, way back in the day, and still to this day, Doom 3 is one of the scariest games I've ever played, and I suggest picking it up just to experience it. I'm sure you could download it on the PC for relatively cheap. Number 1, The Suffering, one of my most favorite horror game of all time, and one of my favorite games of all time. The storyline is in The Suffering is that the main character, Torque, is sentenced to death for the alleged murdering of his family, and you're put on death row on a prison island. But no more than a few seconds when you're put in your cell, shit goes down, things go black, and people start getting killed. Then you get to escape, find out what the hell's happening in this prison. When you first exit your cell, you'll find out the prison is mostly abandoned and slightly destroyed. The only thing you really find is the murdered bodies of fellow inmates. Till you encounter your first hallucination, the first of many, and then you encounter your first enemy, a mutated human form with hands and legs replaced with daggers and knives. But that is just many of the first horrors you will actually face. As you play through The Suffering, each enemy you encounter will be an amalgamation of an abomination, whether it be an enemy with hands and feet replaced with daggers, an enemy that skulks on the ground with syringes in its back as it tries to stab you with a syringe, an enemy with a gun battery on its back. Each enemy is based on either a method of execution or some strange form of human evil, such as an ex-slave master shooting rats at you, little girls who've condemned people to death in Victorian times through burning, turning into flaming entities of fire. The three main enemy protagonists in the game who will taunt you and lead you around the various horrors of the island are three spooks who used to live upon the island, such as a executioner, try saying that 3 times fast, who killed himself in the gas chamber named Hames Hate, a doctor named Dr. Killjoy, who used to work in an insane asylum and who appears to you as a ghostly being of pure light, looks like an old film from the 1920s, a ex-prisoner who was executed in the electric chair who appears around electricity. These three damned souls will lead you not only through the prison but outside around the island, including a crashed slave ship, an abandoned town that used to exist in the 1700s, the actual insane asylum, and underground tunnels. As you wander around the island, you'll find random other survivors you can either help or destroy, which builds in the game's good or evil system, which comes in play in the final ending and the actual gameplay. In terms of gameplay, The Suffering is a third-person/first-person shooter you can switch on the fly. In terms of weapons, you've got your standard handgun, machine gun, which are old-timey type handgun, machine guns. You can dual wield. You've got shotgun. You've got melee weapons such as an axe, a knife, a shank, which is rather large. Yes, you can melee enemies to death, which is pretty satisfying. And you may acquire certain weapons, just certain melee weapons, or fire, because you have grenades or Molotov cocktails. There's also a special gimmick in the Suffering, in which you can turn into a giant creature once you've gained enough kills, and depending on whether you're good or evil, it changes up the look and attacks, and you can even level up the creature you change into. As you wander around the island, you'll find batteries for your flashlight, which you need. You'll find pills. You'll find special weapons such as a flamethrower. You'll find new locations, which will add to your notebook. And as you fight new enemies, which will also add to your notebook, which you can go back and look through, and it'll give a brief description of what the history of the location is and what may have caused the creature's existence. As the player wanders around, they'll experience nightmarish flashbacks and horrifying images, such as monsters attacking you, attacking your family being brutalized by either you, monsters, or staff. They may either be flashbacks to atrocities committed in the island's history, or just inner torment from Torque's subconscious. At the end of the day, the reason The Suffering is one of the most scariest games, the most scariest game of all time, because it has so much going for it. Creepy environment, creepy setting, creepy villains, creepy enemies, who are unique and terrifying in their own way. Great voice acting, great lighting. Sure, the graphics aren't the best, but still. The Suffering is one of... Yeah, I know there was a sequel, The Suffering 2, Tides That Bind, but it just wasn't as scary as The Suffering 1. Wasn't as good as the first one, in my opinion, too. What I've really been waiting for is The Suffering 3. On today's modern consoles, with today's graphics and sound and graphical power, I've been waiting for years for either a reboot, remade, re-release, or the third one to finally come out. This is an amazing game. It's up there with Silent Hill and Resident Evil in terms of forwarding the survival horror genre. It seriously needs to live on. I know the company that made it I think has died, but still, the license is still out there. We need The Suffering 3. Seriously, go check out The Suffering. It's on the original Xbox and the original PlayStation 2. Check it out.